When people talk about forgiveness, they make it sound noble, like it's the only path to peace. But no one ever tells you how it feels to forgive someone who looked you in the eye and lied every single day. My name is Daniel, I'm 38, and until a year ago, I thought my marriage was solid. Not perfect, but real. We had built 12 years together, through tight budgets, miscarriages, sleepless nights with our son, and all the mundane chaos of adulthood. My wife, Claire, was the steady one. She handled things I forgot, balanced what I broke, and made our home feel like something worth coming back to. Then I found her messages. It was a random Tuesday. She'd left her phone on the counter while she showered, and a text preview popped up. I can't stop thinking about last night. My first instinct wasn't anger, it was confusion. I thought maybe she was joking with a friend. But when I opened the thread, the truth hit me like cold water. There were months of messages, pictures, plans, and words I thought only we shared. I remember standing there, staring at her phone, waiting for the walls to start shaking or something dramatic to happen. But it was quiet, too quiet. That night, when she came out of the bathroom, towel around her hair, humming like nothing had happened, I just said, "How long has it been going on?" She froze. No denial, no gaslight. Just silence that stretched until she finally whispered, "Daniel, please don't do this now." I laughed. Now? When, Claire? When is the right time to talk about the man you've been sleeping with? She started crying, saying it was a mistake, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that she felt unseen. The usual script. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just picked up my keys, walked out, and drove until the road blurred into lights. For weeks, I didn't go home. I stayed at a cheap hotel near the river, thinking, replaying everything. The sound of her laugh, the dinners we'd had, the nights she said she was too tired. I kept trying to find the exact moment we fell apart, but all I found was the truth. I had been faithful to an illusion. Then, 3 weeks later, her sister called me. Claire had been in a car accident. They said she lost control on a curve, hit the guardrail, and broke her leg and a few ribs. The other driver was fine. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, and all I could think was, of course everyone expects me to show up now. And I did. I went to the hospital. When I walked into her room, she looked so small, wrapped in bandages, face pale, eyes filled with something between guilt and relief. "Daniel," she whispered, "I didn't think you'd come." I just nodded. I didn't say much. The nurse said she'd been lucky. It could have been worse. When people heard about it, family, friends, her coworkers, they all said the same thing. "She's been through enough, Daniel. She needs you. You can't hold on to anger forever." But here's the thing. They weren't the ones who spent nights wondering why their wife stopped touching them. They didn't wake up to the sound of their own heartbeat because they couldn't trust the person lying next to them. Forgiveness was easy for them because it wasn't their life that got torn in half. So when Claire asked me, "Do you think we can fix this?" I looked at her for a long time. The machines beeped softly around her, the smell of antiseptic filling the room, and I realized, for the first time, I didn't feel love or hate, just nothing. That's when I knew. Forgiveness isn't always the high road. Sometimes it's just another way of staying trapped. I stayed by Claire's side for 3 days. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want anyone saying I abandoned her when she was down. People remember that kind of thing. Her mother came often, sitting on the edge of the bed, holding Claire's hand and looking at me like I was the villain for not being more affectionate. One afternoon, when she went to get coffee, Claire reached for my hand. "I know I've hurt you," she said softly, "but can't you see this accident was a sign? A second chance for us? A second chance." That phrase sat heavy in the air. She spoke like the universe had hit reset on her mistakes, as if pain could be erased just because she was the one now lying in a hospital bed. I looked at her hand holding mine and said quietly, "You didn't get into that accident because of what you did, Claire. Life isn't that fair." She turned away, tears pooling, and I realized she wasn't crying because she regretted it. She was crying because I wasn't giving her what she wanted. Absolution. The next day, I signed the discharge papers, drove her home, and helped her into the house. Everything looked the same. The framed photos, the the scent of her lavender candles, the wedding portrait still hanging above the fireplace. I noticed things I'd never paid attention to before. The way our smiles in that photo looked rehearsed. The distance in our eyes. I stayed that night, sleeping on the couch. She asked if I'd move back into the bedroom. I said I needed time. Truth was, I didn't need time. I needed honesty from both of us. In the weeks that followed, people kept calling. Her mother, her pastor, even my own sister. They all said the same thing. Everyone makes mistakes, Daniel. Don't throw away what you built. But no one asked what it felt like to be the one who was thrown away first. One evening, she made dinner, lasagna, my favorite, and we ate in silence. Halfway through, she said, I ended it with him. You don't have to worry about that anymore. I put my fork down. You think this is about him? It's not. It's about me realizing you stopped loving me long before he showed up. She blinked, like she didn't understand what that meant, but she did. They always do. I moved out the next morning, packed a suitcase, took what I needed, and left the rest. She cried again, but I didn't. There's a point where tears stop coming, replaced by a kind of hollow peace. The funny part? The world acted like I was cruel. My mother said, she's your wife. You should be there while she heals. Friends said, you'll regret walking away. But I didn't walk away. I was pushed just quietly, slowly, over years of small betrayals disguised as normal marriage fatigue. Months later, I heard she was doing better. She started therapy, got back to work, even posted a picture online with the caption grateful for second chances. I stared at that post for a while. Then I closed the app, turned off my phone, and went back to my new apartment. Small, quiet, but honest. Sometimes I think about forgiveness. I used to believe it was about setting the other person free. Now I know it's about setting yourself free from the expectation that someone else's regret should fix your pain. The last time I saw Claire was at a mutual friend's birthday. She was walking with a slight limp, glass of wine in hand, laughing too loudly. When she saw me, her smile faltered for just a second. Then she said, you look good. Thanks, I said. So do you. We talked briefly, weather, work, the usual safe topics. And when she turned to leave, she said, I hope you've forgiven me, Daniel. I smiled. I have, I said. Just not in the way you think. Because forgiveness, I realized, isn't always reconciliation. Sometimes it's simply the moment you stop caring whether they're sorry or not. That night, driving home, I passed the same hospital where she'd once laid in that bed. The lights were on, glowing against the rain. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel the weight of what she did. I just felt free.